Hello and welcome to Health Professional Radio. I'm your host, Neil Howard. Thank you so much for joining us for another segment. We're going to be speaking with Robyn Knecht in this segment. She's Director of Counseling Services at the St. Joseph's Indian School in South Dakota. She's joining us to discuss the school, why Native Americans suffer disproportionately from things like addiction, mental illness, and suicide, and a bit about how St. Joseph helps students overcome some of these challenges. Welcome to Health Professional Radio. Robyn Knecht, thank you for taking the time.
Thank you for having me.
Well, if you would, give us a brief look into your professional background and talk about your role at St. Joseph's Indian School.
Yeah, absolutely. I have been at St. Joseph's Indian School for 17 years. I have my master's in counseling. I'm also licensed as a professional counselor with the state of South Dakota. I've worked primarily with Native American children and families.
When it comes to mental illness, addiction, suicide, is it true that Native Americans suffer disproportionately?
It is.
Do you know what maybe some of the underlying causes for that disparity is?
There can be many factors that lead to that disproportionate suffering. Many experts believe it's due to the loss of land and culture after European colonization. That can lead to unresolved grief to be transmitted throughout generations. There's historical trauma at play. Also on reservations, many times access to services can be very limited and or non-existent. There's also cultural disconnection can also contribute to higher rates of suicide among teens and young adults.
So tell us a bit about St. Joseph's School. How did it come to be? What exactly is the main goal?
St. Joseph's is a Native American residential school. We're located in Chamberlain, South Dakota. We were founded by the Priests of the Sacred Heart, and our mission is to partner with Native American families and students to educate for life, mind, body, heart, and spirit. What that really kind of boils down to is we're guided by a holistic and relational worldview. So everything is connected, and we strive for balance in each of the areas of culture, spirituality, emotionally, and physically. What we can do here is our residential and educational settings are the foundations for teaching and guiding students to find that healthy balance. We are a nonprofit organization, and so all of our programming and services that we offer to students and families is free of charge, and that's because of generous supporters throughout the world.
Are you self-sustaining?
All of our funding comes from donations, so we are not funded by the government.
Okay. Now, just to be clear, St. Joseph's School is not a treatment center.
Yeah, that's correct. We're not a treatment facility, but we are a school that students can stay here all school year. We have opportunities in the summer for summer programming, but our students go home to their families on the weekends. They go home to families on breaks. They spend the summers at home with families.
Is there some type of a graduation?
Our students, we have 1st through 12th grade students here, and so we do have an 8th grade graduation, and then we also have high school graduation. Students are able to come for as short of a time as they need to or as long as a time. Students come to us by families applying and wanting their children to attend school here.
Now, is this community exclusively Lakota?
We primarily focus on Lakota Native American youth, but we also have students mainly from South Dakota, but we do have some families from North Dakota and Nebraska as well.
Is it a requirement to be of Native American descent in order to benefit from the offerings of the school?
Yes, it is a requirement.
So what types of feedback do you get from these families, once their student has spent a summer with them? Are they reporting drastic changes in attitude, behavior, maybe even refraining from certain drug use or alcohol use?
Yes, we often, students that come to St. Joe's, often our families are choosing that path for their student for better education, safety reasons, access to mental health services, access to cultural activities. And so when students attend St. Joe's, some of the common things that we hear from families when students return is, my student has learned a better independence. My student has gained more mastery over their environment. They're seeing that their student is developing and growing and benefiting from the services that we have available. And so we've been able to provide an environment that's safe and allows kids to be kids And, many of our students are very familiar with drug and alcohol use within their communities or within their homes. They're very familiar with some other physical, emotional abuse that may be going on, whether it's within their own homes or within the community. And so there's that sense of safety when they're here, that they can go to school and not worry about if there's enough food to eat at home. They can attend different activities within the community and play sports and get involved without having to worry about their safety out in the community.
Do you ever, invite or collaborate with members of the community who are not of Native American descent for the benefit of the school?
We do collaborate with Chamberlain community. Our high school program, our students attend the public high school, and so we work really closely with the public school system on providing activities and opportunities. Our younger students are involved in the community, and so we build a network within the Chamberlain community. We also try and work really closely with our tribal communities as well.
So it sounds like you've had a lot of great success, at least, in the 17 years that you've been there. Is there anything that you'd like to add for our listeners? And then give us some web resources where we can learn more about St. Joseph's Indian School, if you would.
Yes. The one thing that I just want to touch base on again is there are many barriers to accessing mental health services within tribal communities, really across the nation. And there's stigma associated with mental health. There's, just lack of appropriate care. And what St. Joe's can offer is kind of helping with taking down those barriers. All of our students have a counselor when they come to St. Joe's, so they really start building that counseling relationship. Our primary goal is we want students to be able to advocate for themselves when they graduate or when they leave St. Joe's, and we have seen our students reach out after they graduate for counseling services out in the community. And so really trying to break down that stigma and take away some of those barriers is what one of our big goals is.
And some web resources.
Yes, we have a website, stjo.org. That's our main web page. And then we also have a programming website that has information about all of our different programs on campus, and that's sjiskids.org.
Well, thank you so much for joining us here on Health Professional Radio. It's been a pleasure speaking with you, and I'm hoping that we'll get an opportunity to speak in the future. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you.
You've been listening to Health Professional Radio. I'm your host, Neil Howard, in conversation with Robyn Knecht, Director of Counseling Services at the St. Joseph's Indian School in South Dakota. Audio copies of this program are available at hpr.fm and healthprofessionalradio.com.au. You can also subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, listen in, download at SoundCloud, and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com, Health Professional Radio.